All right. This is what happens. This is what happens when I go right from a TikTok live to a YouTube live is I need to shuffle it around. And yes, this is my official stand here. It's my yoga block with my phone stand. And now I get to plug in my phone so it doesn't drain the battery anymore. And that I can also start to download the live I just did. So good afternoon. I would say good morning, but it's 12 noon, at least where I am. It's 12:02. My phone, my little timer here is a bit off. But hey, nice to see you. Mama Koala, nice to see you. Can you guys hear me okay? I just realized I was wearing my earbuds yesterday, but can you hear me all right? I've got to just let me know in the comments, okay? Yes, okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Let me see if I can do this too. Boop. See if that helps. Yay. Good stuff, people. Alrighty. So let me ask you this. New folks who are just coming in, I see Mama Koala and Leslie and JR Girl 22. Hello, nice to see you. And Danielle, Joanne, that one persona, Kathy Engelman, Kat Roby is in the house again. Wonderful stuff. As a reminder, today at the end of this live, I am then going radio silence until a week from now, until Tuesday. Till Tuesday, just like the band, right? Voices carry. There are plenty of YouTube channel videos that you can watch, but also, this is what I'm getting at. This is the last time in a week, that you and I will be able to interact live. So let's make the most of it, okay? Let's make the best of it. Let's do some really good stuff with this live connection we have. If we only have a live connection for 55 minutes right now, 57 minutes, what's something you've been dying to ask me, declutter-wise? Could be otherwise, declutter-wise or otherwise, that you really think would help you between now and the next time we'd be able to meet? What is something I may be unclear on, where I've described something and you just don't get it because I didn't explain it well? What's something you'd like me to elaborate on? Okay? And I'm here for you like that. That's the beauty of the live. That's the thing about live coaching, frankly. Also, just as a heads up too, again, looking down through the windshield. Next week, I'll be back on Tuesday, but then I'm only doing, Shaka Bro. I'm only doing lives Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then we're off for two weeks. All right. So Kimmy is asking, how did you handle your basement? I'll be honest with you. The basement still is not done. Now, here's where I am not feeling bad about it. Because feeling bad about it will not change a damn thing. We are getting some extra things repaired in the basement, and the person who we have doing that work, he has a schedule that is increasingly erratic, and we have a schedule that's, not necessarily traditional. So we still have stuff in the hallway. I really didn't think it was going to be there. My goal, ideally, is to not let it bug me, knowing that it's just temporary, but also knowing that it's super temporary because I know it has a home to go to. The home, we don't want to put anything in there because there's just going to be a lot of sawing and dust creating. So why would we bring stuff down there? However, my hope is that this work will be concluded by the end of August, and then we can move the things down the basement. And I'll offer this to you too. Getting the stuff down the basement is going to be great. I can always make it look pretty down there once the stuff is down there. And my husband is going to be on tour a lot. So I will have an opportunity to do that on my own, make it look neat, but just moving the stuff. Okay. So, oh, cool. Ellen says, I think you're pretty clear. So I hope that helps, Kimmy. But here's the takeaway for you from me. Notice when things are frustrating you because you don't have a solution for it. And notice where you can be more chill when you have a plan for it. That even though you're not there yet, you know it's just a matter of time. And technically, there's nothing you can do to hasten the process. Like the guy who was working in our basement was supposed to come today, but he called and said there was an emergency. And we're not going to be like, no, come to our basement. So feeling cool about it when it's temporary. But if it's starting to frustrate you because you don't have a solution, let's make a solution so you feel better. All righty. Barbara says, I commuted and puttered during TikTok, but now during YouTube, you will be in the background via my smartboard. Ooh. I am going to miraculously gut the first of 4 built-in shelves of my classroom. I love the fact that you're starting with one shelf. Okay. I love that you've chunked it down. One shelf, then the other. Good stuff, Barbara. Now Leslie is following in Cat Roby. Cat Roby, who says she's got her Disco Dolls t-shirt shaped keychain hanging off of a pencil as a fun decoration. I've got a little couple of things hanging around here for fun decorations too. Very cool. So Leslie M has decided, and notice what Leslie's doing. She has an idea of what she wants to do in her head, and she's increasing the likelihood that she will do it by writing it down in the comments, telling herself she's going to do it. She's saying it kind of out loud the best we can when it's only me talking, but the comments are a way to share that. And she is holding herself, and she then gets the accountability and the support from all of us. Leslie has chunked it down. She's brushing the cat. She's going to clean the cat boxes and going through each room to see if I can find items to donate. There we go. All righty. So Marietta is saying, hey, Marietta in Jersey, can you give a few examples of your morning notebook items? Like, should we include the negative thought patterns as well as the items we want to accomplish? Wonderful question, Marietta. Wonderful question. Okay, so let me move my goofy stuff here. This is what I find helpful. So if you were in the notebook, Cynthia from Oregon, if you were in the notebook party, you will note that I suggested having 2 notebooks. And this was because some people get overwhelmed with having everything in one notebook. So I will offer this. 2 notebooks allows you to have maybe one that's a brain dump notebook, a place to put your thoughts, both lists of things to do, and as you said, the negative thought patterns, those can be in the same place, because what you're going to notice if they are in the same place. Now, I like to do those maybe in the back of the book, as you can see. You could then use technically the front of the book if you only wanted to have one notebook and you were afraid of losing it. You could then use the front for your daily roadmap. Okay. So it really depends on the day. If I have unhelpful thoughts and things, but I would put those along there, because those pages where you write down and you would fold the paper in half and you open it up and there are 2 columns. On the left-hand column, I just picked that one because we typically are a right to left kind of, or a left to right society. I know that when I have negative thought patterns, those are what stop me from doing any of the actions. So I could write down a list of a million things, but if my brain is like, this sucks, I don't buy it, I'm not doing it, I'm not going to do it. So it can be very helpful for me to get myself started, to write down the negative thoughts, to get them out of my head and body and down onto paper, and then practice and actually write a loving response to them. When I have those pages, I tend to keep them. But what I do is I will take a line through all the negative ones and I will keep that list of more helpful thoughts. Now, I write a line through the negative thoughts, the unhelpful thoughts, the mean thoughts, the backseat driver thoughts, as I like to call them. I write a line through them because I still want to be able to read them, because your backseat driver really only has about 4 or 5 things that they say to you over and over again. And when you start to notice that pattern of, oh, this is where I tell myself something, this thing that's unhelpful. Okay. That can be a disruptor to be like, oh, that's right. Well, I already solved for that again, but let me try another way. So you will start to notice the patterns of where you go to poke yourself to make yourself feel bad. Okay. So I would use that for the both. I would, if you want to do it in one notebook, you can, but if not, you can use, kind of dump all your thoughts into one thing and then pull them out and just put the ones you want to do on that day into one that's a less, it's more of a calendar book, like your roadmap book. Does that help, Marietta? Like my morning notebook items are going to be mostly like the stuff that I have in here is going to be my morning items are usually a combination of my coaching schedule and my TikTok live schedule and other things that are scheduled and making sure I do the stuff on my habit tracker. My habit tracker is really my morning thing. Remember to take my vitamins, which I did, and take my fiber. I have not taken my fiber yet. I have drank some water. I'm going to drink some more water. I went for a walk, number 1. Okay, so those are the things that get my stuff. So I hope that helps. All right, that one persona, ADD here, trouble with task completion. Tips? Sure. I either get distracted, think good enough and leave it, but don't get back to it, have other obligations, don't get back to it. Notice that, oh, you're welcome, Marietta. And if I can be any more clear or just, send me a follow, you know what I mean? Add something and I can elaborate, but I hope that helped. That one persona. Notice what you wrote. Task completion. Also, getting distracted and not getting back to what you were doing. Now, notice you said you think it's good enough, but then you're not done. I leave it and don't get back. I have other obligations and don't get back to it. What I would highly recommend is practicing completing things. Now, she's like, I know, I just asked for task completion. This is where the slowing down, the calming down, and the writing down, but also practicing the habit. This is one of the reasons why when we do a declutter party, I chunk down the timer into 3 chunks of time is to help you stop and start again. Stop and then start and then go back to what you were doing. Okay. So notice where you have a habit of kind of forgetting to go back to something. What's a way that you can increase your habit of going back to complete something? It might be writing it down. It might be putting it on your habit tracker, like every day, check for unfinished projects. You have other obligations, but then don't go back to it. I leave it, I get distracted and don't get back to it. So I would offer that one persona. We could do this in real time. There may be a specific project you're thinking of that you say it's not done. So this is where I would open up the back of my book and start brain dumping. I would put destination and then whatever that task is, task completed. And then you've gotten like 75%. Let's say, where's my thing here? Think of that. So you started there, and then right here is it being done, and you are somewhere along the road to it. Either 25% and the stuff's hanging out, 50% and the stuff's still hanging out, 75% and the stuff's hanging out. Okay. So notice where you are, congratulate yourself on what you did, but also just write a list, a chunked down list of all the little steps or just the few remaining little steps that would get it to your definition of done. If anything, start with done. What does done look like? I heard that somewhere. What does that project done? How do you know it's done? Well, it looks like this. This is what happens. Write down what done looks like and then reverse engineer it. How can I get there from here? Does that help that one persona? You may need to use a timer if you distract yourself. Okay, Alrighty. Here's a fun thing. Now, I will share with you. I do not envy the mom life at all. Okay? So I love it. Perfect example in real time. I'm working on clearing off the table. I made progress, but the kid wants help with something and also with a phone call coming in. Okay? And what I want to offer to you is this. Everybody, there are certain times when it's appropriate for you to leave what you're doing and attend to something else. And there are other times where it might be beneficial to practice boundaries. Now, this is where I have to do this with my husband sometimes because he's like, "Oh, hey, come check." And I'm like, "I have 2 minutes to get ready. So I love you, but get the hell out of here." Now we have a relationship and, whatever. But so the kid wants the help with something. I'm not saying don't help your child, but what you could say is, I will help you in 1 minute. And then you could use that 1 minute to kind of see where you're at, go to help them, but then practice the habit of going back to what you were doing. And this is where a list can be really helpful of all those little um, things you need to do in order to get to done. Because instead of getting distracted, like, Timmy on the family circus, you can go back to your list and be like, okay, where was I? Oh, that's right. I did this. I did that step. I'm right here. Okay. Phone calls are a disruptor as well. You can choose to pick up the phone, or if it's important, they will call back. I say that all the time. Notice where you have strengthened the wires in your brain to respond to external distractions. And the path back to what you were being distracted from is a very narrow, thin path because you often forget to walk down that way. Okay. Okay. Jeffy in the family circus map, completely. He gets there. It's going to take a while. Practicing getting back to what you want. Practice going back to that table. You may be interrupted, but shifting your focus. That's what it is. It's kind of coming up for air and then getting back down into it. And then I was up above it, and now I'm down in it. Any 9-inch nails, people? Um, Practicing getting back to it. And you may need to set a timer. You may need to write on put a string around your finger. Remember to go back to the table as opposed to going somewhere else, because you have a habit of getting distracted. Does that help that one persona? But I will really say that the real thing that's going to help you with a lot of this is decrease the times in which you respond immediately to external demands. Even if it is just literally 1 minute, you're teaching your child that you are not at their beck and call. Now, if they are, bleeding and screaming, of course, it's going to be like, but are you going to, you're going to respond to that because it's a true medical emergency. If it's true medical emergency, please hang up and dial 911. But if it's not a true medical emergency, you can practice building, maintaining teaching your child how to interact with you to get the result they want. I will be with you in 1 minute. And then you set your timer, and then at your leisure, when you decide, not because they said it. Now, I know this is not easy, but starting this type of thing sooner rather than later is also a sign of respect, is also, how you would probably, I know you're not too busy. It's just, I feel like, honestly, it's a good way to be mindful and respectful of other people's times. What do you mean you're not here right when at my beck and call? Never said I was going to be. I will help you in just a moment. And sometimes when you leave that minute where you don't go help them, they figure something out themselves, which is what you really want, isn't it? For your kid to be self-reliant, to figure things out on their own. They may be in the habit of going, mama, mama, mama the whole time. And I'm not saying you don't love your child, but boundaries, or even I will come to you but it will take a moment. I'm not going to leap up and ignore what I'm doing. And I myself am going to remind myself to go back to that table. I hope that helps. Distractions. We live in the most distracted society, I think, since the history of history. They didn't have cell phones. They didn't have cars driving by and people dropping stuff off and phones and this and that. We live in such a distracted society that it is a superpower to cultivate, to not allow those distractions to distract yourself from what you want to get done. And if you want to get away from the table because you're done, fine, own that. I am done here. I've done something good and I feel good. It's good enough for now. I'll come back to it later. That's different than that's an intentional thought versus just running away from it and being distracted and distracted. That's what I think. That's what I think. Because you train people how to teach you. Oh, excuse me. You train people how to interact with you. I knew this when I used to work in my corporate job, and we worked with we worked for a client, and they were across the driveway, and they would come over. It was so old school, like it was like, here, I've got an envelope and whatever, and you show people how you want to be treated. Oh, thank you. Yes, I will get to this later, and I will, and I'll give it back to you by a certain amount of time. But it is, especially with ADHD, you are seeing possibilities of things you can do all over the time. So practicing your focus. Notice how Kat Roby has her scheduled Beth blinders. I'm ignoring that stuff so I can focus on what's in front of me. Now, does she have earmuffs on in case her kid is in the other room? No, but you can practice having better blinders on to focus, practicing coming back to what you did so you feel better about it. I hope that helps. We have about 36 minutes left together. Again, this is the live. Live is cool. What else can I help you with? I'm enjoying the quiet right now. Kind of lowers my blood pressure. That's another kind of down. Make your blood pressure go down. Quiet down, sitting down, calming down, writing down. I think a lot of it, frankly, is you've got the tools. There we go. Painting of a Duck says, your lives always get me motivated, even if it's small. What I ask you is, okay, what is it about my lives that get you motivated? You can write it in the comments. I would love it if you wrote it down on a piece of paper to yourself. This month especially is when I'm being like the mama duck who's there and I'm showing you all these things, but I'm leaving the nest and you're going to be in the nest for a while. You're going to have to leave the nest and get your own food. So how can you get motivated when I'm not around to motivate you? Write down the things that happen on this live. Dissect this. What makes this live something motivating to you? How can you reverse engineer it? How can you replicate this when there isn't a live? Write that stuff down. Note to self. I can do this. Sure, I love the lives. They're fun. They're engaging. They're, things like that. It's easier to do it when the live is on. But if there isn't a live for a week and then 2 weeks, am I going to stop driving just because Beth's not there with me? Live? No, I don't want that for you. Okay. So, painting of a duck, and Diane, I see your stuff. I'll get that to in a sec. But painting of a duck says, I think it's the encouragement and kindness, and and a reminder to actually make it happen. Past videos also work. Okay. So, what I offer to you, painting of a duck, I'm speaking to you with encouragement and kindness. Speak to yourself with encouragement and kindness. Encourage. Give yourself the courage to do things and remind yourself how to make those things happen. Write down the encouraging words. You know, what was it? Home on the range and never is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Isn't that kind of cool? The deer and the antelope are playing. This is one of the things that happens when you write down the unhelpful thoughts on one side of the paper, is you begin to speak to yourself with kindness and encouragement when you take the time to write down the opposite of the discouraging and unkind words that you said to yourself. You kind of cross them out, you negate them by writing down the words that are encouraging and kind, and then practicing those lyrics, practicing saying those words to yourself, not just writing them down once and being like, yeah, whatever, reading them to yourself, reading them out loud to yourself. Who knows? Chop up that side of all those pages that you wrote the unhelpfuls and stick them around the house and remind yourself, put it on the mirror in the bedroom, put it mirror in the bathroom, like the English beat. Okay. Now, Diane Harper says, I am decluttering my apartment because I have till Friday to clean or I get the boot. I've already asked for a week extension after having 2 weeks to do it. I keep getting stuck and frozen. I'm seeing space I haven't seen well in 2 years, probably 3. I don't understand how I got this way. Well, Diane, a couple of things I want to offer to you. Beth, Destination Decluttered, Decluttering Life Coach. And I will say this. Notice when you say, I kept getting stuck and frozen, that is kind of a gear that your nervous system is in. I like to usually use the umbrella of overwhelm that can make you shut down type of thing. So notice this. As you're going through your stuff is speaking to you. Your stuff is telling you stories. And these stories may not be good stories. So you may be telling yourself unhelpful things that are making you feel crappy. And then enough of that, and you kind of stop. It's as we were saying with the painting of a duck. Stop, disrupt the unhelpful, quieting down your nervous system, slow down, quiet down, stop down. And then don't just stop, start driving in a new direction. Speak to yourself with kindness and encouragement. If you don't know how you got there, you should probably reflect. Now may not be the time to do the deep dive to be like, how did I get here? If what you know is by Friday, you need to get the hell out. But you are learning something about yourself when you're going through it. Okay? Yeah. And I bet you have some clues as to how you got that way. A lot of times when we're feeling discouraged, fearful, unhappy, depressed, it's very hard to get yourself up and motivated, especially to do some of the mundane tasks that having a decluttered house requires. Sometimes we feel so bad about ourselves that one of the things we might say to ourselves is, I don't deserve to live in a nice home. I don't care. Things are so awful. I can never get out of this. So whatever, I give up. I've lost hope that it could ever be better than this. I'm not saying that's you. I'm just saying we all have a negative, unhelpful, discouraging voice in our heads. And that's the voice that stops you from doing things to get yourself out of that mess. What I highly recommend is you write down those thoughts, you fold your paper in half, and then you start to just practice the new thing. Norelle is saying it's difficult to be kind after many, many years of negative self-talk. You're right. It may not be easy, but it's worth practicing this new language. Okay? It's worth it because it allows you someplace else to go. You are the decider. When you know that you have a choice, then you are deciding. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice, right? Rush said it, it must be true. And that's Rush, the band, not Rush Limbaugh. Um, you can choose to continue to negative self talk. Even if you don't choose to consciously do it, it will come up in your head from now until the rest of your life. Okay? Or you can choose to learn a new language. Now, you're going to start with small languages, small words in those languages. But the more you practice that new language, the more you become bilingual, the more you think in that language, the more you use those words to describe things. So, if you think it's going to be difficult, you're not going to do it. But if you see the reason that you could do it, and this is why I show up telling you that my house is feeling good, I'm feeling good, I'm going on vacation, like I'm traveling, I am doing the stuff that years ago, my negative self talk had me sitting and stuck in the house. Okay. Now, notice this too. I'm backing up. Cat Roby started the scary tax box. Wasn't that a story we used to tell each other around the campfire? You guys, I'm going to talk about something really scary. A tax box. Okay? Yeah. And what I will offer to you, so Cat Roby, noticing what you're afraid of can make you be less afraid of it. So why is the tax box scary? She's jumping into it. Sometimes you're just afraid because you were told to be afraid of something. Oh, taxes are so horrible. You shouldn't pay them. They're such a pain in the ass. You've been taught a lot of stuff. If you blindly believe it without questioning it, you don't learn stuff. But question what you learned and notice what the results are when you believe those things. What kind of life do you have when you believe blindly what you were taught, what you overheard, what you picked up, what you started to imitate people? When you started learning the language that you learn now, you probably started talking like the people in your family, the people who were around you. How encouraging and kind were they? Or were they discouraging and unkind? How overwhelmed did they get? If they easily got overwhelmed, you probably get easily overwhelmed too. How unemotional are they? You may have learned to hide your emotions. How cluttered are they? You probably learned from the people who raised you. Hopefully, you learned some good stuff, but you probably also learned some crappy stuff. So notice what's the good stuff you want to keep and what's the crappy stuff you are ready to let go of. Okay? And ready to let go of? Ready is just, you don't have to be, you just have to be willing to take the next step. That's really what it is. I have a note to myself. I will share this with you. I have not been actively encouraging new clients recently because my summer is so busy that I thought it would be a disservice to new people to be like, hey, you want to coach? And then I leave for 3 weeks. But one of the notes I remind myself of is the people I choose to work with are the people who say, yes, I'm ready. And then they take the next step. And the next step is usually the first step is to even sign up for a consultation. So that's one step. The next step is showing up for the consultation. Yeah. So the third step is deciding and feeling whether our coaching would work for you. And if you feel that way, then it's signing up for it. Now, I say this because feeling ready doesn't mean you're perfectly confident and you've got it all figured out. And yes, I have to get to this level before I start. Nope. You just have to be trusting in yourself enough to take that first step and know that when you take that step, help is right there to help you take the next step because that's what coaching is. So you don't need it all figured out just to start. Okay. So this is, I love this. I love this because Kat Roby, fear of the unknown. Yeah, we all have fear of the unknown tax box. And she's loved this because notice that sometimes you're fearful and you don't know what's in the tax box. And then she says, and in the box, some souvenirs from our Vegas anniversary. So notice that the universe, as I like to say, the universe is giving you something to laugh about. And laughter is the best medicine. When you can laugh at something you used to be afraid of, that is a place of power. Imagine somebody you used to be afraid of, something you used to be afraid of, a shadow, a dog, a bully, and you just laugh at them. Yes, like the scary ghost ends up being Casper, the friendly ghost, the friendliest ghost you know. Though grown-ups might look at him with fright, the children all love him so. I'm going to sing the whole song if I can remember it. He always says hello, and he's really glad to meet you wherever he may go. He's kind to every living creature. Grown-ups don't understand why children love him the most, but the kids all know that they love him so. Casper the friendly ghost. Are you afraid of Casper the friendly ghost? Maybe, because a lot of the things that we're afraid of, think of a ghost as a shadow. A really small thing can cast a big scary shadow. And if all you ever look at is the shadow on the walls, you're going to be afraid. But if you stop and you turn around, it may be this tiny little thing right here, casting a big shadow over your entire life. It may be one little sentence that somebody said once that you took to heart and you keep it there and you keep it there hurting you. I say, get it out of you, rewrite something better, and replace it with a better feeling or thought. Isn't it silly, the things we used to be afraid of? There we go. I love this. Kat Roby, I'll start with what you ended with. Really not disorganized at all. She was afraid. Moments ago, you saw the journey she was on. She wrote the scary tax box. Now she's started, and she's like, it's really not disorganized at all. I've got some brochures from a trip to Asheville, totally not tax things. The taxes are compiled for 2024. Then I started putting papers and receipts in this bin along with previous returns. So it's really not as bad as I thought. Man, that phrase, it really wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. It really wasn't as bad as I thought once I started. That riff on those two phrases is a wonderful thing to notice. I was afraid of something this big, and it ended up being only this big. So yay, Kat Roby. But notice what encouraged her was there was a live on. She is in the habit of putting on one of these videos, whether it's live or Memorex, and the crew of people. This is a neat thing. You guys who have showed up in the comments, you are also part of who shows up when somebody listens to one of the recordings of the almost 800 videos that are going to be up there. This human connection, it's not as good as the one-on-one or the Zoom or the live, but even there is energy. There is energy and encouragement when there's interaction. And so do not think that I hope you know how awesome those videos can be to help you when I'm not here. Okay? All right? Now, Painting of a Duck is saying that happens to me a lot. So notice when these things happen. Write down the stories from your life of when you were afraid of something and it ended up not being a big thing. I love it. Kat Roby used to read the Casper comic books. We used to see the cartoons, as you can tell, because I watched a lot of TV as a kid. Thank you, Channel 56. A lot of reruns. And I used to watch the Casper, and they had like the Follow the Bouncing Ball, all those like reruns and stuff like that. Totally not new content, but The reruns totally shaped my life. I can sing the Casper song. I can still see cute old Davy Jones, right? Yeah. Noticing what you're afraid of, and it may be something really small. How about this one? They're all going to laugh at me. I'm going to show up doing something different, and somebody is going to make fun of me. They're going to laugh at me. They're going to make me feel bad. They're going to say words. They're going to be judgy, and they're not going to be encouraging. They're going to make fun of me. Don't hang around with people like that. No. I did some kayaking on Sunday with friends, and I had the slowest boat. Now, I was beating myself up. I'm not going to deny it. I was like, man, I should have more strong. I should be up there with them. This is taking a lot. This hurts. But our friends were nothing but encouraging. It reassured me that they weren't like, man, she's pretty weak. Why is she? I was afraid that they were judging me like I was judging myself. The only person judging me was me. It was. But you know what I did? I did a better job than I did the last time. And I realized that my arms are not as strong as I want them to be if I want to go doing that. But instead of saying, oh, my arms, that's just how they are, I'm bringing my little weight set in here to do do a little lifting in between stuff. Sometimes it can be the littlest thing that casts a big shadow. The time that a parent said, or somebody said something mean to you. The time that somebody made fun of you, that called you a bad word, that made you feel less than. Flip the bird to them. Life is too short. That little kid on on the playground that said something mean to you, who knows what that little kid was going through? He learned how to be mean from somebody else who's probably being mean to him. It is really not that. It can be scary to stop and to look back, to see what you're afraid of, but it's really helpful. Because the stuff you're afraid of is the stuff that's stopping you from doing the things that you really want to do before you die. What was that sound? Oh my gosh, is that somebody? It was just the mail person, the mail carrier. Reba the mail lady. We have about 15 minutes left, and I'm trying to think right here. If I were leaving a note for you saying, I'm going to be away for the next 2 weeks, but remember the following, what would I want? What would I think would be the most helpful? You can feel free to write this down. It's going to be stream of consciousness, as everything is that I do, because my brain is awesome and it comes up with such good ideas. And one of the reasons my brain comes up with such good ideas is not just because I watched a lot of TV when I was growing up and I read a lot of books. No, it's because I don't clutter up my head with a lot of clutter. I outsource it. I drop the clutter into notebooks and lists. I don't use my brain as a filing cabinet. I use it as the creative part of the company. I don't use it as the file room. I use part of it as the admin, but I try to use my brain as the creative department. So my creative department is saying to you, when I'm gone this week, the next 2 weeks, and maybe when I sign off for forever, these are the things I would like you to remember. Kind of like that sunscreen guy. Drink some water. Take care of your self. And your self is your human body and your energetic body and how they interact. Okay? Leslie says, first thing, set a timer to start and make a plan. If you don't try, you cannot succeed. Right. And I would say even before that, Leslie, take care of your physical body. Drink water. Make sure you are getting rest. It may not all be sleep, says a woman of a certain age. Am I right? But make sure you give yourself the opportunity to get the rest you need so your physical body feels good, feels better. Take care of your nervous system. That's the fearful part of you that's on alert for fear and danger. Notice when you're feeling that way and calm down and reduce the danger. Quiet down, calm down, settle down, sit down, shoulders down. Turn the volume down on the backseat driver. Turn the volume down on what's around here. Put your eyes down. Relax down your muscles. Breathe down deeply into your lungs. Slow down your exhale. Repeat all those downs until you have shifted gears from being afraid to feeling okay. Maybe one of the things you do is you remind yourself that there's always another side. You move your hands. Maybe you get a pen or you just move your hands from one side because you've got a line down the middle. Pass something from one side to the next as a little bit of a repetition. Calm down your nervous system and then write down. Write down your destination. You're big, you're small, you're in between. What are all the destinations you want to get to before you die? Now, this will be in the back of your notebook. Things I want to do before I die. Turn a page. Things that I want to get rid of in this house. Make another list. TV shows I want to watch. Make another list. Anything that you've been keeping stored up here that isn't written down somewhere, write it down where you can see it. Then there's more room for your brain to then say, we don't have to hold on to all these things that we've been holding on to for fear of forgetting. Now we can relax and do what the brain does best, which is create solutions to help you get to those places. How can I hang around with those friends more? I can look at my calendar, find a night that we're free, text that friend, wait for their response. If it works, we set it up. If not, go back to calendar, find another day. Writing it down, and then chunking it down. How am I going to have a kick-ass trip to Chicago? I'm going to write down all the things I want to do when I'm there. I'm then going to chunk it down between the dates. I'm going to send an email. I'm going to book a hotel. I'm going to buy some tickets. I'm going to text a friend. I'm going to take some little actions that add up all the time. Now, I'm going to write a lot of these things down in the back of my book. I am not going to get overwhelmed by it because these are all cool things. I should be excited about everything I'm writing down because the result is going to be an awesome life when I'm on my deathbed. And a lot sooner than that, too. Then I'm going to flip and I'm going to start to schedule stuff, including fun. I just made a Bert face. Where's the nose? It's like my Bert nose. Schedule the stuff you want to happen. Write down your list. Don't necessarily cram it all into one little square of a calendar. Use an entire notebook. Live it up. Spend 50 cents on a notebook like this from Staples. They're on sale because it's back to school. Use an entire page for one of your days and write down the stuff that you already are scheduled with somebody else, but boundaries. What about the stuff you want to happen? Are you scheduling? Are you putting on your calendar? A list is an amorphous thing. Your calendar is the place you write stuff down to get stuff done. You do it already a lot of times. So just turn up the frequency in using that. What could you do? What could you write on your calendar today? Just one little chunk that would get you started on your trip towards your destination, having a good life. I think my husband's checking the mail. But notice, getting distracted, I'm safe, I can focus again. Now, I love this. Kat Roby says, I found decluttering can be a treasure chest, a treasure hunt. I found a cool lavalier mic I bought for a group I volunteer for. They didn't run with it, and I'm in my no era of volunteering, so I'm excited to try it for myself. So look at the stuff. Notice how Kat Roby was scared of a little pile of paper, and there's nothing wrong with that. Paper can be something scary. It could be like a dunning notice that says, you must pay the rent, but I can't pay the rent. But she also found a lot of fun stuff along the way that she didn't even know she had. A lavalier mic, a little disco dolly thing, all sorts of fun stuff she found along the way. Don't be afraid that decluttering is going to be nothing but painful. Decluttering is also a treasure hunt. Notice, you can look at it as painful and you're going to feel pain. You look at it as a treasure hunt, you're going to be finding treasures. Now, I love it. Judy Dukes is saying live encouragement is so helpful. But yesterday, I was only able to listen to the replay, and I still learned so much. Yes, notice the power of live encouragement. Encourage yourself live. As you live, be a constant source of encouragement to yourself, more so than you are now. Increase it by just 10% and notice the miraculous change. Can you imagine if you lost 10% of your weight? I bet you'd be, wearing a different pair of pants. 10%. I'm not saying change the whole thing. Coach yourself as if I were there with you. Okay? Yay. And this is great. Danielle got towels folded, dishwasher loaded, and the table cleared off. Check. Ellen says, thank you, Beth. I just wrote down to re-listen to this live. Yes, this is the live. I think it says the YourTube. I might change that. I might not. From August 5th, YouTube. Okay. My immediately thought of your words. You can do this. You can do this. I have more faith in you than you do. That's cool. I have enough faith to carry the both of us. You need some of it. I don't do the work for you, but I have faith, 100% unwavering faith, that you can do this. Whatever this is, you can do it. You probably have a bunch of chorus in your mind. You can't do what? I can't do this because. Why can't I do this? That's when you get out your paper, fold it in half, write down all the reasons you can't do it. I was 50 something when I started my TikTok channel. I didn't know what I was doing. My God, if you scroll back, you definitely find the first videos I did. I was trying to be somebody else, wearing makeup and trying to be all professional. I like being me and being real and showing up shiny and old. You're probably shiny and old yourself. You know what? There's a lot more of us than there are them. But I will share with you something. I had the you can't do it, but then I just tried one chunk. I'll just do one video. I'll see how it is. I was scared of it, but it was actually kind of fun. It was fun, so I did it again. Every day I'm afraid I'm going to, there's a little bit of fear. Is anybody going to show up? Am I saying something wrong? Are people going to make fun of me? But I show up anyway. And 800 live videos later, I'm still digging it. If somebody ever said to me and overwhelmed me with you need to make 800 videos, I'd be like, oh my God, overwhelmed. No. What did I do? I chunk it down. I have fun with it. And I want you to chunk it down, and I want you to have fun with it. What's something you've been afraid to start? What's one little chunk? Let me see what I can get away with. I'm just going to try. No big deal. Don't even wake up the backseat drivers. Just start. If they're quiet, if they're not quiet, quiet them down. But if they're quiet, just take that one step. Send that email. Put that thing that you've been hemming and hawing about into the donation bag and bring that donation bag to the donation place. Call that friend you've been meaning to get in touch with. If calling activates your nervous system, text that friend. Do the thing that you'll be glad that you did it as opposed to kicking yourself that you didn't. I remember hearing one time, you never know at that time when the last time you're doing something is. I believe they were talking about having sex, but it could be anything. You never know when the last time you're doing something is the last time until the future. So I share with you. There we go. Mama Koala says, husband's gone for 2 weeks. I'm going to try to declutter my chaos for me and us. Keep it on the me, and the us will come. Okay? But I just share with you from my lived experience. You can change how you think, which changes how you feel, which changes how you act. Take an action. I want to live. You can quiet down the fearful backseat drivers. They're just scared little kids. When you do that, there is space that is now empty that you can fill with love, fill with encouragement, loving, encouraging words, because even if it's temporary, you've temporarily quieted down the backseat driver and you have begun to speak to yourself in a way that is filled with love and encouragement, as if you were calming down a child and encouraging a child or somebody you love. So love yourself enough to do that, or not even enough. Fake it till you make it. Say the nice words, even if you're not fully believing in them. If you fully believe in them, that's even better. But even if you're kind of half-assing it is better than no-assing it at all. So experiment with this, play with it, write down the words, the sentences in this new language. Yo no hablo español until you hablo español muy bien, or better than you did when you started. This is how you learn something. You learned how to do certain things in your life by going to school. You learned many other things in the school of life. Today, you're at a place in your life where what you learned has given you all this. If you want all this and the way it is, yay, you're doing something right. If you have certain things that you like and you don't, you're also doing something right. What you just need to do is chunk down the stuff that is not giving you what you want, and we can change it together. And even when I'm not here live, I hope that you hear my voice in your head and think of me kindly. What would Beth say right now? She would probably say, calm down, breathe down, slow down, quiet down, calm down your backseat driver. Write down what they're saying. Listen to them to practice, and then quiet them down, and then show up and write down those words of love, those encouraging words, and start to live like that. And practice it. Even if it's for only an hour a day, practice it. Notice how it feels. Repeat it as often as you can. The more you show up on the road, the quicker you get there. Okay? Now, speaking of the road, I'm going to sign off right now. I will be live on TikTok and YouTube sometime next week. Those of you who are part of the email group, I will send out the email to remind you that I've changed things. The other thing, too, is the Pen Pal Club. If you want to reach out to some people on the list here to stay connected while I'm not here as the connector, join the Pen Pal Club. I will be updating that, and I will be sending out the most recent member list so that you can reach out. And reaching out to even one person on the list is a step in the right direction, because the people on the list have said, I want to reach out, and I agree to have people reach out to me. Okay? Now, I have to shift gears. This was so fun. I love hanging out with you guys. I love outside here. Love hanging out with you. I look forward to us hanging out next week, because I want to hear how well it went for you when you experimented with all these tools and this fun stuff on your own. Okay? Good stuff, friends. I will see you next week. You got this. All right?